Okay, there's a new exhibition at the Cleveland Museum of Art, and it's pretty cool. It's called the Tudors, Art and Majesty in Renaissance England, and it's open now, to February 26th through May 14th of 2023, and it's impressive for a lot of reasons. The completeness of the collection, but the scale of some of the objects. For a short period of time, the Tudors were only three generations, the Tudor dynasty, but they did so much. They're really transformative for England and Europe, and then eventually the world. So basically, there was the War of the Roses, which kind of left England, that area, devastated. That ended in 1485. So Henry VII claims the throne. He says, okay, I'm the king. He was one of those larger-than-life characters, ambitious, did stuff on a grand scale, as we'll see. Some of his tapestries and portraits and all, it's just incredible, the size. And then everyone knows his son, Henry VIII, and talk about larger than life. So, when he divorced his Catherine of Aragon, he split with the Roman Catholic Church, started his own church, called himself St. Paul, all of that stuff. Larger than life character. We're familiar with and we'll see a picture of Henry VIII that we're all familiar with. This, though, is something part of the collection. It's young Henry, no beard and pretty skinny and all. That's in 1509. So this is the kind of thing you'll see there. And then, tragically, his son Edward I had a very brief reign, which led to his daughters, Henry VIII's daughters, Mary and Elizabeth, becoming Mary I and Elizabeth I, who were the first two women rulers. So this is a really cool exhibit. You'll see suits of armor. You'll see huge tapestries that span the whole wall. You'll see portraits and sculptures, and it's really an interesting exhibit. We're going to take a quick video walkthrough of some of the things that really stood out for me, but in no way is it representative of the whole collection. You got to go there and see it yourself, because it's really some cool stuff. So get down and see the Tudors at the Art Museum. So the official title is The Tudors, Art and Majesty in Renaissance England, and it's going to be here at the Cleveland Museum of Art from February 26th to May 14th. As you're going in, this is what you'll see. Let's take a look. I think one of the things you'll notice with this exhibit is the scale of some of these objects. There's some really large, especially when we get to the tapestry, some large pieces and some familiar things. When you first come in, you'll be greeted with this. And this is the candelabrum. I don't know, maybe 14 feet tall, 16 feet tall on the pedestal, and a couple of angels bearing candlesticks are guarding it. So you'll find about the Tudors here. It's only three generations, but everyone knows the Tudors because of mainly Henry VIII, but a lot of this is Henry VII, his father. So who were the Tudors? Well, everyone's heard of Henry VIII and probably Anne Boleyn and Jane Seymour and some of them, but it's a whole family. It's like five kings of five eras of monarchy here in Britain. Let's take a look. So it's from 1485 to 1603. It was five English monarchs who had the name Tudor. And here's there's the Tudor rose. And so up here we see Henry VII, okay, and his wife Elizabeth of York. Then the famous Henry VIII here. And there's Catherine of Aragon, Anne Boleyn, Jane Seymour, Anne of Cleves, all of these. He had all those wives. Then comes down, here's Edward VI, Elizabeth I, and Mary I. So these are the Tudors. Five English monarchs had the name Tudor. And of course, starting with Henry VII and Henry VIII. This room, you can just see the scale of this exhibit. This tapestry, it's huge, takes up the whole wall. And over here we have another furnishing textile. Henry VII was really into this kind of stuff. And in fact, this is something that Henry VII, this is a cape that he wore, believe it or not. And again, just very large scale, very large size. This is huge. Takes up a whole wall here. And it's called the creation of man, creation and fall of man. It's from a 10-piece set, the story of the redemption of man. And it's wool, it's silk, silver, gilded silver. It was kind of saying Henry VII, King Henry VII's ambitions. He bought the series of 10 of these from a Flemish textile supplier to kings and popes. And you can see all the history here. There's Adam and Eve, and there's just impressive. It's really something to see. I think this was a field armor piece made for Henry VIII. Again, the scale of the pieces here is really impressive. This is Elizabeth I in the surviving her, the first full-length, full-size portrait, the earliest surviving one. Okay, we're all familiar with this familiar face of Henry VIII. Once again, very large, full size, and it's aggressive. You know, he's got his weapon out there, his stance, his body language, very aggressive, and they said that kind of set the tone for his reign, the ambition and the aggression. And that's Henry VIII. They say that the Tudors and people of that era had these large spaces to fill with decorative stuff, and they were always giving gifts and receiving gifts from others. Look at the size of this tapestry here. This is a sea dog table from about 1575. It's walnut. But these are things that were gifts to or from the Tudors, and they filled up their big decorative halls with it. And this is, of course, Elizabeth I. A lot of paintings, a lot of portraits of Elizabeth I, and they always kept her fairly young, no matter how old she got. This is a bust. It looks almost like something you'd see in an arcade, you know, about to tell your fortune. But it's a portrait bust of John Fisher, who was the Bishop of Rochester from 1510 to 1515. It's in polychrome terracotta, and it's very lifelike. They say that portraits dominated most of the Tudor paintings, you know. So you'll see paintings and portraits, variety of people. Some are almost photographic quality. If you look at this, for example, this is a portrait of Jean de d'Interville, ambassador to the court of Henry VIII. And that could almost be a photograph. So if you remember coming to the Cleveland Museum of Art as a kid and somebody would go to see the knights and the armor. Well, you won't be disappointed here. There's a couple of really nice pieces of armor from this era. And in this room again, you can see the scale of some of these things. Look at this tapestry here. That, and then you've got Henry VIII and his acting as the new St. Paul, burning the books up there. It's the whole wall there. So you know the story. Henry VIII split from the Roman Catholic Church, split from Rome, and he called himself the new St. Paul. So he was always burning books, religious books and all, because he didn't follow Rome anymore. He had his new religion where he was the leader and he was St. Paul. So this is a huge tapestry, and you can see it's St. Paul burning these books. Of course, it's not the St. Paul we're familiar with. It's Henry VIII who called himself the new St. Paul. And it says St. Paul directing the burning of the heathen books from a 9-piece set, The Life of St. Paul before 1539. And as we said, Henry VIII broke from the Roman Catholic Church. He presented himself as a new St. Paul, as an alternative St. Peter's papal authority. So he commissioned this work to show, and he had a lot of public burnings. As a mathematician, this is a favorite part of it. This is done by an astronomer to the Holy Roman Emperor Charles V and a math professor in Germany, and these were a gift to Henry VIII. Henry VIII had the finest collection of contemporary books, but these are two astronomy and math books from about 1540. So, love to page through them sometime. That's fascinating. And this is really impressive. This is the Trials of Hercules. The 7 trials that Hercules had to go through. It was designed by Raphael. It's none other than Raphael, and he's from 1540 or so. But you can see in the middle here, there's Hercules' tasks, his trials. But again, it takes the whole wall. Let me just show you a human there to get the scale of it. So I really like this oil painting. I can't pronounce the name. It's by an unknown English artist, but in 1600, Ahmad al-Mansur, he was the Sultan of Morocco. So he sent a delegation to England with secret orders to propose an Anglo-Moroccan alliance against Spain. And this portrait here, this is the first ever painted of a Muslim person in England. And it depicts the Sultan's ambassador who stayed 6 months in the English court, and everyone was fascinated by him, by his clothing, the turban, that nimcha, which is that served cord there. And they say by having his index finger out like that, he's drawing attention to the prominent weapon. So this might have, some scholars say that this visit may have prompted a fashion for plays with North African themes like Morocco, including Shakespeare's Othello. So this is a really cool one. And like a lot of the exhibits at the Cleveland Museum of Art, when you wrap things up, you get to participate yourself some. So here they show some of the Tudor style symbols, but then you get your chance to create your own for your family, and and put them up here on the wall. It's just opening, but there's some skilled ones and some funny ones here already. So that's at the conclusion. Nothing of the quality of this yet, but we are getting there.